Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to cover everything you need to know about this Corey Graves drama.
Does Penta have backstage heat in WWE? We're going to tell you all the backstage details.
We've got the latest on Malakai Black leaving AEW and the backstage reaction to that.
And could Rey Fenix be leaving AEW sooner rather than later? I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Okay, we're going to kick this one off by talking about Corey Graves. We spoke about him yesterday, just a little bit. He did that tweet where he kind of recalled his journey through wrestling and mentioned that he had his dream taken away from him because he had to retire for concussions, and he became an announcer and he was pretty effing awesome at it. I think that was the exact wording he used. And then he was like, hey, I was told I wasn't famous enough to keep my job. This came after he had seemingly been removed from Raw and SmackDown in favour of bringing back Pat the Mac.
Got a little joke for you.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves who?
Exactly, that's why he's not doing
hello. So yes, the antivirus man came back, and now the Raw announced team is Pat and Michael Cole, and the SmackDown announced team is Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. So Pat was, not Pat, gee whiz, I can't do names today. Corey was kind of the odd one out. He got put back to NXT last week.
Yeah.
He's the third man.
He looked thrilled about it, let me tell you, last week.
Absolutely joyed. So some stuff came through last night. PW Insider's Mike Johnson reported before the show that Corey wasn't going to be on NXT last night. This was like about 12 hours after the tweet. In fact, he was actually seen passing through airport security in Orlando, which is where the show was filmed. So he was leaving Orlando and he was spotted at the airport. It's like a football signing. On top of this, PW Insider has noted that upon being bumped from Raw and SmackDown to become the third guy on NXT, Graves wasn't happy, particularly. No. Neither would I be, to be fair. Now, a few hours kind of before this story broke, Graves had actually tweeted saying, I've got a lot to say, don't miss NXT tonight on the CW tonight, with a microphone and a fire emoji. Suggesting that he was going to say some stuff.
We previewed it on the NXT preview podcast. Yeah. We thought he was going to be spitting fire on there, and then no, it didn't happen.
But then he was removed. Now, Corey's brother, Sam Adonis, that's his ring name, tweeted that it's not a work. He just tweeted not a work, and then a emoji. Now, there's currently no word on what this actually means for his future, Corey, but he was not used last night, and his brother's saying it's not a work. Now, there's more. There's an update here from Fightful which has some other information. They have not confirmed if this is a work or a shoot, but people close to the situation claim it's real. He doesn't live in Orlando, Corey. He lives in Pittsburgh, so it makes sense that he would be flying away from the area if he's not on the show. He was not at NXT rehearsals as of about 3:45 in the afternoon. There were only 2 announced chairs present at that time. Corey Brennan from Fightful has asked about Graves in NXT, and multiple sources claimed he was legitimately frustrated with being moved. One source had previously claimed that they'd be surprised if he wasn't back on Raw or SmackDown by the spring. Yeah, because McAfee's kind of seasonal, like he comes and goes because he's got college game day and all his other
busy man
commitments and stuff like that. So yeah, Corey Graves' WWE status up in the air. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in this situation.
No, am I right in thinking then with that timeline that he drops the I've got a lot to say and then is subsequently spotted at the airport? So potentially they could have seen that and gone, what are you planning?
Yeah, the timing of the airport thing is not... That's not clear.
Not exact,
but my read into it was that when he tweeted that, he would have known he was going to be in the show, and then
someone saw him when you're not.
Yeah, he was pulled a couple of hours later. So if I'm putting it together in my head, and this is just purely speculation, the timeline would be tweet with the fire emoji, pulled from the show, seen at the airport going home.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That probably adds up.
At the end of the day, however you feel about Corey Graves as a commentator, and I enjoy him, I can understand his frustration because, even so, if you are being told, well, you are going to be on Netflix when Pat McAfee's not going to be there, that's a difficult spot to be in, having previously been, one of the lead guys, being effectively the backup, like you say, and occasionally popping up on NXT, for example. The alternative, of course, being, it is one of the biggest gigs you can get. There's not many other sideways moves you can make for Corey Graves. But I can understand his frustration in all this.
Yeah, look, on his side as well, there are better ways of expressing these thoughts, for sure. I would imagine that a more productive way to do this would be to go to your boss privately and say, hello, I'm not happy about this, what can we do? Rather than posting it on Twitter. It's the same as last week we spoke about Tony Schiavone and the Chris Charlton situation and that tweet. Tweeting things publicly. I mean, maybe he has spoken to management. I don't know.
Yeah, this is his last resort. Maybe.
Yeah. But I think it's right to ask that question of why use this method for sure. We'll just see how the situation evolves. I do believe there was a report a couple of years ago suggesting that he'd finally been cleared.
Yeah, we speculated on the podcast when he tweeted that, saying, "Is this a tease for like a pipe bomb and an in-ring return on NXT?"
Yeah. So that's interesting. I wonder if maybe he's just not interested in that anymore because of the concussion problems he's had. He might be cleared and then just no, I don't want to risk it anymore. You never know. So evolving situation, one that we will keep monitoring, and we'll just see what happens as time passes. Basically.
Absolutely.
Before we slide into our second news story of the day, though, we're currently running a fundraiser for the rest of January. Below our news videos for the World Central Kitchen, they are providing immediate relief to people who've been impacted by and first responders to the current wildfires in Los Angeles. They provide food, they provide water, because even as fires start to be contained and stuff like that, the level of relief that people will need extends far beyond that. So times are tough, times are difficult, but if you're able to spare anything, there's a fundraiser link below. You can donate directly to that. Funds will be collected directly by World Central Kitchen as well. So they're helping a lot of people out during a time of need, and we will be running this for the rest of the month at the very least. Also, on a much less important note, we're also running a viewer survey at the moment. So we want to gather some thoughts and opinions and on preferences and tastes and all kinds of wrestling questions from you guys, our YouTube audience. So if you could click that link down below, if you've got 2 minutes, that's all it'll take you. Your feedback is very much appreciated, and it will be used to inform future decision making. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please do fill that in. We'd love to know your feelings about wrestling in 2025. And like Andy said, more importantly, we've all seen the horrific images coming out of LA and the terrible stories you've read all about of people losing their lives, people losing their everything basically, and the amazing first responders, as you said, just risking themselves to fight these awful wildfires. So please give all you can. As Andy said, links in the description below. Right, what's the latest on Penta? We talked a lot about this yesterday, obviously with him debuting on Monday Night Raw and seemingly going a bit long with his match and then his post-match promo. Fightful doing some great reporting here, following up on this and finding out more details, because the initial rumours where he had a bit of backstage heat for going over and them cutting the show shorter than or the bits of the show shorter than they needed to go, despite the fact they're on Netflix and they have no hard out. But that's kind of what's been reflected in this report from Fightful. As we mentioned yesterday, the merch leak or release ahead of Penta's debut, as Michael Cole said, it's the worst kept secret in wrestling. They described that as a happy accident. They didn't hide Penta. He was backstage shaking hands and meeting everyone throughout the day on Monday. But yeah, with regards to this backstage problems thing with him going over, one source that Fightful spoke to said if there is any heat, well, they hadn't heard about any heat for Penta, but if there was any heat with regard to that thing going long, that segment match going long, it should be on whoever decided they had to have a hard out for a show that they don't have to have a hard out for. WWE apparently were trying to keep, they're flexible. They're all last week was 3 hours. This week was like 2.5. They wanted to try and keep the show about 2.5 hours. They were internally apparently claims that some talent were trying to make sure they were able to catch late flights out of town, hence why they were just like, going on with the bloody show. But from the people, talent-wise, that Fightful spoke to, no word of any heat on Penta, and most people are aware, understandably, when you saw like his kid on the front row in tears about what a moment this was for him and his family. Roster happy for him, which is a relief to hear, because for having a match that goes slightly too long and a clearly emotional promo, promo in WWE, I don't think people should be like, well, that's his cards marked already. Yeah,
you're done in here, Penta, after 15 minutes.
Also, have you seen him? Who's going to go and tell him?
Yeah, exactly.
You go and tell him. I'm not.
We poked a bit of fun at the hard out aspect of this yesterday, because it's like, what? The reports pre-broadcasting were that there'd be no firm outs. And look, I do understand that they have TV deals in other countries that don't have the Netflix deal in place. So maybe they have hard outs there. But this show was 2.5 hours long, so
plenty of time to spare.
It didn't need to be free out. I don't know. It's a really confusing situation. I wonder, like, the initial report, the conspiratorial side of my mind, which is very small, thought, hey, is someone just stooging Penta off here?
I thought that too, yeah.
Some chief brothering him backstage going,
he's too popular.
Yeah, don't like this. He's more over than me. I'm going to tell the reporters. I have no idea. We're just speculating. We're just taking the piss. We're having fun. It's a weird story, but look, he's going to be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
The most important thing, great in-ring debut, really fantastic promo in different languages, which is awesome to see, and very excited to see where things go next for Penta, and potentially a future/past tag team partner. More on him in a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about Malakai Black.
Yes.
He's seemingly leaving AEW. We know the situation. We've kind of gone over it a couple of times, but his last match with the company was in November. Since then, Brody King, Julia Hart, and Buddy Matthews, have all had
Will Ospreay?
Yeah, Will Ospreay. He was in the House
You've
of Black.
broken our brains, Will.
Yeah. Who else was in the House of Black? Jose the Assistant.
Yes.
Brock Anderson.
And your unofficial member, of course, Anna Jay.
Okay, sure. I mean, Dark Order.
Yeah, I suppose.
They were broadly spooky for a while. So, yeah, he's basically leaving, and the wrestlers that we've described, not Anna Jay and Jose the Assistant.
Yeah, not them.
Brody, Anna...
Brody, Julia, and Buddy. There you go.
They've had angles on TV that have been like, hey, you'll be fine on your own, don't worry, basically.
Yes.
So
it's all been mentioned that they need to break free of a thing, but also don't mention the thing or who was the head of the thing before. Yeah. It's been weird.
The head of the table himself.
Yes.
Dave
head
Meltzer.
Of the cupboard, more like.
He is, right?
So he's going back to, not really a cupboard. Where's it cupboard? What was he hiding in?
It was a little drawer.
Like a little room, wasn't it?
A little drawer, yeah. You pull the drawer out, and there he is.
Want to fight? Oh, bollocks.
What was his book called? Tale of the Dark Father or something like that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
sense. He had a big book for a while. But yes, Dave Meltzer has a new report on this, and apparently people think it's good that he's leaving. I'll just read the quote, because I don't want to misconstrue it. He's gone.
There we go.
Good start. He's not going to be on TV anymore, most likely. It's funny because as talented as he is, everyone I've asked about it, they all kind of react the same, and it's kind of like good, whatever that's worth. He did work hard in his matches. I'm not saying he didn't, but he wanted to go back to He wanted to go back to WWE, and I think it was very clear he wanted to go back. And once you get that thing, it doesn't work out to put you on TV or anything like that. Especially if you're not comfortable losing, it makes it a lot worse. So there's been all kinds of, we get like a new Malakai Black story every 3 months, and the thing about them is, he usually comes out and goes, no, that's shut up, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like very quickly, he cuts them down very quickly. This time he is not. So that suggests that all of this is real.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny for a man who's had so many farewells on AEW television. He hasn't really had one this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, by all accounts, and from what we can glean, it's not just, that was a weird end to the match. That means he must be leaving. They're literally alluding to it, like you say, on television, and all the reports seem to point to that. Look, I think this was inevitable the moment Triple H properly took over in WWE. Malakai Black, Aleister Black was a big Triple H guy. He was mishandled, let's be honest, on the main roster for WWE, being put on that pallet and then going, why is he not over?
We gave him a book.
And he's a wrestler who wants to fight but never picks a fight. He's just waiting for people to knock on his door or whatever. It was a load of bollocks. But I think his transition back to WWE will be far better now Triple H is in charge.
Yeah.
And look, I thought he did great stuff in AEW, like you say. At the end of the day, with the way AEW works, if certain people don't want to lose and keep their aura about them, that's going to be allowed to happen. But that will sort of hamstring you sometimes in terms of how these bookings and matches have to work, unfortunately. And we should mention, and you always mention this, he's had a rough time with injuries as well in his time.
Yeah, his back is pretty thrashed, I believe. I am very skeptical of the he doesn't want to lose stories. I've always approached them with a bit of caution. I don't know. It strikes me as axe to grind stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. So I don't know about that element. I'm quite willing to openly question that part of these reports.
Yeah, he could well be saying, like, I don't agree with this piece of booking, and people interpret that as, well, he doesn't want to lose. He could just be like, no, I don't mind losing, just not in this. I don't know. We don't know. We're never going to know.
Exactly. And that would stand to reason because he is very protective and he's very involved in his own creative. Like, he's got lots of ideas.
Exactly, yeah.
And he takes them very seriously. And a part of that might be being interpreted as, he doesn't want to do business.
Yeah.
Which is, old ass wrestler nonsense a lot of the time. But hey, we'll see. He'll be happier.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's for the best.
And at the end of the day, the House of Black has been a brilliant stable for elevating everyone involved with it, basically. I mean, we quite like... Is he still there? Yeah, there he is. Yeah, we quite like Brody here at WhatCulture.
Oh, he's kind of off camera, but there he is.
Julia Hart has come on leaps and bounds, I think, since she's joined that stable.
Brody on camera, man. This sucks.
There he is. And Buddy Matthews, Buddy Murphy, whatever we're calling him, I'm going to hot take this, Andy. Quite a good wrestler.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he?
I think he can get back and forth between those ropes pretty bloody well.
Yeah, I think he's going to make it.
I think they'll all be fine.
That's my bold wrestling prediction for 2025. Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay are going to make it. Take that.
Right. Let's conclude by talking about Rey Fenix. This is another story we will be going back and forth on for quite some time, it feels like, in 2025. Or maybe not, because Body Slam have picked up on something which may indicate he could be out the door sooner rather than later. Obviously, as we mentioned, Penta's in WWE. Rey was kind of held back in AEW, not in terms of booking-wise, in terms of just like, we want you to kind of make up, injury time, basically? They've had time on at the end of his contract. And so... this is the way things are worked out with the Lucha Bros. However, if you go on AEW Shop right now and search for Rey Fenix or the Lucha Bros, you get a 404 result. Nothing there. We got Nout to sell you, which seems to indicate that he could have 1 foot out the door already, because it's one of those things where it usually works this way with wrestling companies of, regardless of whether or not they're booking you on telly or not, if they've still got you, they're just going to be like, right, flog the stuff that we've got, flog the merch, even if we have to put it on sale or whatever, let's try and make some money out of what we have here. If that's all gone, that, along with like disappearing from the roster page, keep an eye on that, seemingly indicates, thanks very much.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened here. The case is either they've come to terms of his release, right? Like,
hope so.
And let him out of the contract, which is what I believe they should do. I don't believe there's any value in keeping unhappy people around. So, like, you either try and appease them or you let them go.
It's just bad for everybody, really, isn't it? The fans get annoyed because people on social media, and the locker room, if they're just there sitting in a grump in the corner.
And one bad apple rots the others. If you have a locker room and there's one guy who's just absolutely raging, that spreads, and it's not a good situation. So either they've let him go, or they're just not selling his stuff anymore and taking away an income stream, which is bad.
Yeah, I hope it's the former there.
And vindictive and quite petty. So I don't know. Maybe tomorrow we'll be sitting here reporting that Rey Fenix has been released, or maybe we'll have to wait a year before we see him wrestle again.
Question.
Yes.
If what we hope has happened, they've all amicably decided, thanks very much, Rey, best of luck in your future endeavours in WWE. When do you want to see him debut? Because I'd quite like Penta to have a bit of a singles run in WWE. Obviously, eventually, the Lucha Bros are so awesome, you can't help but shove them back together. But, hopefully, financially, he's fine. I'm not saying, don't pay him for 6 months or whatever. But yeah, would you like to see Penta have a run till maybe WrestleMania time, and then after that form the Lucha Bros?
Yeah, I'd sign Phoenix now on the understanding that we're going to run a few months of Penta. And then tell some kind of story where Penta runs into a bit of trouble with 2 people.
Yeah.
Name a heel tag team. It could be anyone.
Pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yeah, I love him.
Maybe someone good.
Oh.
Jokes aside, they're fun.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he runs into a bit of bother with a heel tag team and goes, "Oh, it's 2 of you. Well, here's my brother." So he's pretty awesome.
I was about be careful here, WWE, because I was about to say, who's the best heel tag team in WWE right now? It's the New Day. Do not tease who could be Penta's tag team partner, because everyone's going to think it's going to be Big E.
Yes.
So maybe not that, but yes, I think that booking is a really good way of doing it. And allows Penta to sort of establish himself. And then I think fans were already partially aware of Penta anyway, so if they're partially aware of him, they're probably partially aware of Rey Fenix because he's awesome too. But yeah, it's good to be like, right, let's establish Penta, and then Penta, to a certain extent, the WWE audience can be like, here's my mate.
Yeah.
All you need to do is go, Rey, do what you do in the ring, and people are going to be like, Jesus, that guy breaks your arm and crushes your spine, and now this guy's jumping all over the place. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Dipping, let's go. I think that's the way to do it. But also,
tag team division is getting stronger and stronger in WWE right now. Motor City Machine Gun's great addition.
Brick by brick by brick.
Frax team coming up, tease with them and DIY on NXT. I'm loving it right now.
It's good. You know what else is good? 100 greatest Royal Rumble. In fact, it's not just good, it's the greatest Royal Rumble moments ever. So
check it out.
Click that right there, Edge on the thumbnail.
Go on.
Enjoy.
Go on.
Bye.
Go on.
Wrestling.
Bye.
Rumble.